All right, welcome to the second video in our series on deploying a Haskell application with AWS and Docker. We have sort of 3 blog posts that go through this process, and this is the second video to just give a recap of stuff we've done already. We have in this repository just a very simple Haskell application. We have in this repository just a very simple Haskell application that launches a very basic web server. We made a Docker file for this application. We made a local image of that, and then we pushed that image to AWS ECR, the Elastic Container Registry. So this Docker container image is on AWS now. We can see that if we go onto our ECR dashboard right here. Now, we aren't running this yet because we have to go to Elastic Beanstalk, and we can see we don't have any applications yet or any environments. And so the first thing we have to do is make an application. Now, how do we do this? Well, it's a little strange. We're actually going to move out of this particular directory, of our source directory, and we're going to go into a completely new directory. So let's go there. And so now we're in this remote Docker folder, just made this Haskell quiz external. It's just folder name we're going with. And in this folder, I've already made this JSON file. So it's called dockerrun.aws.json. And there are just a few pieces of information in here. So it's kind of like a config file. We're just specifying a few pieces of information. For instance, we have the version of AWS Docker Run. We're using version 1 because we're only launching a single container application. We specify our image, so we want to use the URI from our ECR dashboard for the container we want. That's all that's going on with this object. And then the last piece of the puzzle are just ports. Because we're launching a web server, we want to, it's going to run off of the port 8080 within the container, and then we also want to expose the port 8080 out. So that's why we have these 2 lines in here. And that's all we need in this file. And so we exit out of that file, and we'll notice, we've only got this one file in this directory, and that's all we need right here, except we also have to make this into a Git repository, even if we're just only storing this one file. So we're going to do git init, and we're going to add our one file. First commit. And once we've done that, now we can actually create an application using the AWS command line interface. And again, this depends on you being authenticated. We did that in the second video, so go back to that one if you want to check out how to authenticate. But anyways, let's go ahead and create our application. So we do this by saying eb init-p Docker, and we're just going to give our application a name. We'll say quiz server, because that's what we've been doing for everything. And for whatever reason, I get this syntax error appearing when I run this. I don't know what's going on there. It didn't actually stop it from working, so it says it's created the quiz server application. So what we can actually do now is we can go to our applications, and we can see that the quiz server has appeared. So we have this application, but it doesn't have an environment yet, so we can't run it. Okay, so how do we create an environment? And again, this is going to be another command line prompt that we have to go through. So let's go back to our terminal. Now we're going to create an environment using eb create. So again, these eb commands refers to Elastic Beanstalk. That's the service we're using to deploy our application. So let's say eb create, and we'll just call this quiz server end. It's an environment, and now this is going to be a little more involved. I think we have to see what's happening down there. So right now it's launching the environment, and this could take a few minutes. So we're going to just wait and see what happens there, and once that's done, we'll come back. All right, so it didn't succeed, and this is actually fairly instructive, so I'm going to show you what happened and how I debugged that. What went wrong was that previously the astute viewers will know that I had something like Haskell quiz here, because that was an old name that I'd given to this. But we actually, the name of our repository is quiz server. So I had to go ahead and change that. Now, how did I figure this out? Well, if we go to our environment and we go to here, we can see is that at a certain point I pulled the logs already from this. So you can go to the log files over here and you can just request the logs. And in this case, it'll eventually get there. As you see, I downloaded this already. And so we can just sort of look at all of these error messages. And eventually, if you scan hard enough, what we'll find is, okay, the repository with the name Haskell quiz was not found. It does not exist in the registry with this ID. So this tells me, oh, whoops, I forgot to change the name. So let's go ahead and change that. So now what I'm going to do is I've made that change. And now to fix it, I'm going to say EB deploy. I don't need to create the environment again. I just need to deploy the new environment. And so we'll let that run for a couple minutes and then we'll see if that works. And after having it fail again, I did realize, of course, that you have to commit the changes to the Docker file. I forgot to do that, so I had another failed deployment. So as we can see, I just am now committing my change. So let's do this, second commit. And now let's try EB deploy again. And this time our deployment did succeed. So if you wait long enough, the terminal will tell you this, although you can also just exit out of this terminal process as it's running, and you can just go to your Elastic Beanstalk dashboard around the Environments tab here, and you can see that its health is okay. And it also gives us the URL we can go to in order to access it. So let's go ahead, copy that, and we'll make a new tab and try to access our API. And we do this API/quiz. So if we go to hello, you see the hello page being printed, and if we say goodbye, then we see goodbye. So we are able to access our page. Now there's one extra thing I forgot to show in this video. I don't think I included this in the last video either. We need to make sure that that Elastic Beanstalk is able to access our Docker containers, and that requires us to give permission. So what we have to do is we have to go to IAM. I've already done this, but you'll need to do this really before you deploy. So we'll go to, so this is the thing you'll need to do before you deploy. So on the IAM page, we need to go to roles, and we need to click this one, AWS Elastic Beanstalk EC2 role. We're going to click that, and if we have this list of different roles, and you need to make sure you've added this one, Amazon EC2 Container Registry Read Only. So you'll probably need to say add permissions, and then attach policy, and then search for oops, I reordered them. Search for this string. You need to have that role as part of your Elastic Beanstalk, or it's not going to be able to access your Docker image on ECR. But once you go through all those steps, then you've successfully deployed your web application, and now you can start your development cycle. Obviously, most of your development cycle is going to be locally, but once you're sort of happy with your changes, you can go ahead, push a new container with your complete changes, and then deploy that to your environment. So that is the many steps of taking a Haskell application and putting it on AWS with Docker. So I hope it's been helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to Monday Morning Haskell. You can use the link in the description to sign up for our monthly newsletter if you're enjoying this content. So thank you very much.